let's talk about this. One of the bigger pieces of news in like the media world over the last few days, week or so here, has been the Warner Media Discovery merger. And in the wrestling world, it kind of conjures up some of the like the AOL Time Warner merger and the eventual downfall of WCW that brought on. And a lot of people are kind of bringing that up when it comes to AEW right now. And there was I think it was with, I gotta see if I can find it here, but there was a tweet or a posting that talked about like AEW and the things that they should be concerned about when it comes to some of this stuff with the merger. It I believe it was from Wrestling Republic. Now again, I haven't totally totally sourced this
I see one from What Culture?
Okay. Let me hit this one. We'll get to that one here in a second. But it says this was an agent with WWE. This kind of connected to the first topic. Believed that Tony Khan was losing it. Revealed that the internal belief in WWE is that AEW could be in trouble following the Discovery Warner Media merger. The source told them that at least one AEW supporter was removed from the board during the process, with 2 Discovery executives being against the violence and blood and guts seen on AEW Dynamite since its debut. Whether or not this will affect AEW TV remains to be seen. Wrestling Republic has also learned over the weekend multiple talents under contract with Impact discussed Impact looking sideways at Tony Khan following his recent tweets. This once again could highlight a tear in the once positive relationship between AEW and Impact Wrestling. Mike, we'll get to you in a second, but like it's one of those things, and I think it is something to watch with the AEW product over the next, I don't know, 4, 6, 8 weeks, to see if some of the things that they've done. I mean, we saw Wheeler Yuta just spilling his own blood a week ago on Dynamite. We'll see if some of that gets dialed back in the coming weeks. Mike,
I'm just gonna apologize for this because I know what's gonna happen after I say this. For a company that loved this match, why is fucking Warner Media hating on War Games?
There we go.
War Games! War Games! War Games!
Tim left the room. We chased him right out of the studio.
Tim just said, "Fuck this shit, I'm out."
They literally came at that match with fucking blood and guts. That's the name of the fucking match.
They sure did.
Why
they sure did.
War Games? I don't understand.
Charlie had said AEW and Tony Khan need to worry about the Discovery merger. One wrong and they're done.
I'm not as quick to hit the panic button on it being one and done for them. This could be all right. Let's tone it back. And focus on professional wrestling, because let's be real, shit happens. Headbutt, elbow. People get split open.
Yeah,
hard,
but look,
like
Wheeler Yuta bleeding the way he was last week was not a accidental headbutt. Like, let's
explode in a bitch mouth like a gusher.
You know what I mean?
I thought you'd like that reference.
I'm a fan. Bravo.
Wow.
Thank
Golf
you.
clap. Golf clap.
Thank you.
I didn't even have to say it this time.
Woo.
I'd make it wet bottom too. Make it like that.
Make it wet bottom. How do you like that? Are you serious?
But
where's Tim?
Like he did not want to hear about working.
He probably thought we were going to do the other one after, and I haven't used that one yet.
Wait till he gets back.
I mean, we also haven't mentioned the best in the world yet. So
well, that's true. But like, here's the thing too about the AEW TV is right now it's still the number one program on Wednesday nights for like cable or what, you know what I mean? Like it's so
the NBA this week.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and
But
I
that's
mean,
an anomaly. That's
right
an
when,
anomaly.
when Monday Night Football comes back on, Raw goes in the tank as well. So
Correct.
those are things that you build into your year. But like, regardless of
Permission.
how the merger goes, like I don't think that a television company is going to go, yeah, we're just going to get rid of this thing that's bringing us money every week. Yes, Joe.
Permission to put arguments in front of the court.
Sure. Yes, Joe.
Permission granted.
For the record, I've seen people say like, "Oh no, what if Discovery Plus and the merger? What if the people in charge don't like the kind of low browness that comes along with pro wrestling?" Let us not forget that this is the same company, Discovery Plus, that already has such high class TV shows as Naked and Afraid, and Trauma, Life in the ER, and Diagnose Me, and Beat Bobby Flay, which is just downright vulgar. So I'm just saying, I don't actually think that
I actually
AEW.
like Beach Bobby Flay. My wife's fucking Puerto Rican. She hits people with frying pans all the time.
Jeez.
Pepitas.
Jesus.
I'm just saying, I don't exactly think that like this.
Sorry, guys, I derailed your show.
It's not like
It was bound to
it's
happen.
not like some like ABC is buying the product and
Right.
it doesn't add up to their Shonda Rhimesness. Like this is more highbrow than My 600-Pound Life. You
Well,
know,
and
like this is
also,
more
I mean,
highbrow than a lot of shows.
a lot of these, I mean,
500,000
networks are
pound
putting out,
sisters.
1,000-pound sisters, and these networks are putting out, plastic surgery botches, and they're putting out 90 Day Fiance and no,
You be
Whoa,
careful.
I went there, Mark.
You
You
almost
be
gave me the
careful.
screen on your ass.
and they're putting out things where they just meet their fiance at the altar when they're getting married. Like, so like let's not pretend like the pro wrestling is
Yeah.
anything
not
lower
worse
than
than
some
that.
of the
No, not at all.
quality programming that some of these networks put.
And the new
Speaking
season
of
90 Day
trash,
starts Sunday.
What's that, Mark?
Well, the new season of 90 Day Fiance starts Sunday.
I'll have to
Get
not
ready.
get my DVR for that.
have you watched The Ultimatum on Netflix?
No, dear God, what is that?
Oh my god. So, okay, wait, real fast. Like these 6 couples all show up, and in each of the couples, one of the 2 people has given the other an ultimatum about marriage. Like it's
serious?
shit or get off the pot. Yes. So here's the thing though. They
Are
show
you
up at
serious?
this show, right? They're all staying together in this like hotel, like complex, whatever. It's Netflix, and they all have to pick a different partner from one of the other couples to live with as like a faux marriage for the next 3 weeks. And the question is basically, are they going to fall in love with this other person, or are they going to go back to their original person, or are they going to leave the show alone? It's so trashy. It's amazing. It really
Sounds-
is.
It sounds like a really bad version of
That
Temptation
sounds like
Island.
something I would watch.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Mark's about
Kinda.
to go get that free month of Netflix.
Tim, sorry, I had to hit the WG on you there.
Uh-huh.
But they no. After you left, I explained my reasonings. It definitely says in their article, Blood and Guts. That's the name that they use for their War Games match. I want to know why.
It was a definition.
War games! War games!
I can't wait till we get the chance to vote on the soundboard. I'm taking that and the other one off.
What's the other one?
No.
The other
You
one,
can't.
Which
the
other-
We're
backwards
going to
one.
veto you.
I don't know.
GW.
What I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not gonna
This is
say
stuff
it,
the
but
best in the
you're
world.
referencing GW, correct? GW.
That's
Bridge?
I think that's the one he's talking about.
Give me my ding.
Matt, what do you think about that? Is Matt still here?
Who gives a shit?
Yeah, he
Wow.
still doesn't
He
care.
doesn't care.
He still does not care.
That's kind of hurtful.
We're all living that dream.
Charlie says he's not saying they'll lose their program. They could very easily become WCW and Discovery. Says we won't control the product that they put out. I mean, I suppose it's possible, but I also think that the television landscape today is very, very different than the television landscape of 20 years ago, when the AOL Time Warner merger and the eventual end of WCW happened. Like ratings and programming and stuff, programming itself is different. The rating systems are much different. Like it is a much different world in the terms in terms of media, and really, like, if you have a program that is getting anywhere between 870,000 to 1.1 or 1.2 million viewers a week on Wednesday nights, and is at or near the top of the cable ratings, I have a hard time believing that at this point a company is going to move that and get rid of that and get away from that, because like you don't just get rid of that in my opinion. Now, I don't know, I don't remember what the length of their contract is. We'll see as that negotiates. I also think the way that they negotiate their next deal is going to depend on how WWE negotiates their next deal with NBC, Universal, and Fox. So that'll come into play with it as well, because and goes back to the other point of, like, neither company wants to put each other out of business. To me, especially, AEW doesn't want, and trust me, WWE is not going anywhere, but AEW doesn't want WWE to go anywhere, because the more money WWE can get for their programming, the more that AEW can get for their programming, and I think that's critical to it as well.
Here's a question. I want to see your guys' opinion on. Let's say the worst case scenario did happen though, and AEW lost its TV contract. They don't renew it in a couple of years. Dynamite doesn't have a home. Rampage doesn't have a home. Can AEW survive without that? Can they figure out another way? Are they a big enough company at this point? Do they need TV? Because like you said, TV is such a different thing in our day and age. Like, you're not actually dependent on being on a network to get your product out to people, and you also don't need to charge people $10 a month to be on pay-per-view or anything either, or $10 a week or whatever Jeff Jarrett was fucking doing. So I feel like we are in a different place. Like, could they survive?
That's JEFF.
I think there needs to be a place for their TV, for their programs, that isn't YouTube. I think there needs to be a premium.
ESPN 8 The Ocho.
I think there needs to be a premium location for their programming to be. Now, whether that's like a Netflix, whether that's a HBO Max, whether that's an ESPN Plus, something.
It could
Somebody,
be,
some
Peacock.
I think
something
Tim-
where somebody's
I think
paying.
Tim knows where you can find it.
Right on the cock.
Thank you.
Like as long as there's some place that people are paying to
Something for it.
something for it. I think that's important. Charlie says here, so if the person who comes from Ace of Cakes and Oprah saw the Nick Gage spot with the pizza cutter and light tubes, you don't think she's gonna freak? Okay, well, if somebody's watching Ace of Cakes and they turn on a botched plastic surgery show where they're showing somebody's face get cut off, isn't that going to shock them as well? Like,
But I think we're looking at too much of what's going on the Discovery Plus app. There's no random soul that's coming from Discovery or HGTV or TLC that's like, oh, I just watched this lovely cake show and I'm gonna go flip over here on the channels and I'm gonna find, oh my god, it's a pizza cutter to this guy's face. Like, yeah, you're not getting like, and the fact of the matter is you have to hit a start button on most apps to start a show. Like, you're not going to put an AEW match where Wheeler Yuta bleeds like a gusher on a live stream where it's a continuous loop of things that are going on Discovery.
well, I mean, let's
go, oh, let me put a match where it's a good wrestling match. Nobody gets fucking hurt. Nobody bleeds to death. But hey, if you want to see that match, like if you go over here to the AEW tab and click the button, you'd be more than glad to hit that start button. Then you have no qualms about what happens afterwards.
Right, but I think in this scenario, it's assuming AEW is still on TBS. So, like, if you just flip over to TBS and because that Nick Gage spot with the pizza cutter was on Dynamite, so You know, if we're still assuming
Unless
that
you're
they're
looking for friends,
well, and
I
here's
don't know why you'd be
here's
coming
my
from TLC
next
to-
and here's my next question too is like how many people that are flipping over aren't like are you how many people just flip channels anymore if you're watching
That's what I'm
basic
saying.
cable, right? You're
Yeah,
you're
no.
you're you're scrolling a
Fran.
TV guide.
Yeah, Fran, who was watching Cake Wars, is not just gonna go. Let me press a button.
Okay,
And just
okay.
scroll through the channels and be like, oh,
So Charlie says he's not articulating himself. He said the woman who is now in charge has a background in the Food Network and working with Oprah. Okay, but like,
doesn't sound good.
if you
That's a
see a
recipe
ton
for
of dollar
disaster.
signs from something,
right?
don't necessarily know that you're gonna just push it away because of a situation where you can then walk up to the doors of Tony Khan and be like, yeah, okay, that happened. Never the fuck again.
Right, and that's the thing because here's the deal. Back in the 90s, the WWE lost some sponsorships because of some of the stuff they were doing, and they tweaked the product a bit and didn't go down certain roads ever again either. Like it's not you know, and here's the thing. I don't I think if you think that AEW is just going rogue every Wednesday night and doing things that they weren't quote unquote allowed to do, I think you're being naive as well. I don't think AEW is just going out there and saying, "Hey, let's bleed like a stuffed pig tonight during the main event." Like, if they weren't allowed to do blood, if they weren't allowed to do, you know, the Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa, you know, lights out match on Dynamite, if they weren't allowed to do the Nick Gage spot on a Wednesday night, it wasn't going to happen. Yes, Joe?
Self high five. All right, 2 points. Number one, I'm really excited for the eventual cross promotion because I will tune in to see Sammy Guevara and Tay Conti on Naked and Afraid. Number two, I know where my attention will be. Anyway, number
Jesus
two,
Christ.
It turns me on.
One difference I think you have to.
His song does say, "This is my moment to shine."
One key difference I think you have to remember with like AOL Time Warner merging and this situation is back in the day, and you were sort of alluding to this earlier, Jim, what you were saying. When they merged, when AOL Time Warner merged, it's like, okay, so now we have these like 10 TV channels to put our different things on. Wrestling doesn't have a home on any of these, yada, yada, yada. This merger, Discovery Plus, TBS, TLC, there's like 40 different. Yes. There's like no T-Bow's Left Eye in Chile. There's like 40 different avenues for places that you're gonna put different products. So like maybe you decide that you don't want, like you're not gonna put an AEW show on the Food Network, but
Yeah, you are. Brandy Rose's cooking show.
Shot at
she doesn't
Brandy.
work for the company anymore.
She don't work for any
Well,
company.
She don't work.
Exactly. Before I still
She's
help my
unemployed.
wife bringing groceries, that's going to be a thing. They're on the perfect channel. TBS is the perfect channel for them. It was what we had associated with Braves baseball. You have things that are on there that are sports related. I feel like TBS is like the station for sports. I know TNT has basketball and hockey and all that bullshit. But if you're going to pick a station to turn into the sports station out of those, like if they're not on TNT, they're on TBS. Like either of the two of them are fine. Yeah, you're not putting a TLC match on TLC, even though that'd be fucking hilarious to try to commentate through. Welcome back to TLC on TLC. Like the fourth wall fucking getting broken down. Yeah, I gotta go help them.
Charlie says the highest rated program ever in Turner history is Nitro, plain and simple. Where are they now? Again,
they paid a lot of money to a lot of fucking really old degenerate idiots.
Well, and I also get what you're saying, but very different worlds, very different situations. When correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, because I think you may know this better than me. But at the point of the AOL Time Warner merger, WCW was already on the downturn. Correct?
Oh,
Like
very much.
monetarily, programming, all of that. It was not
Mhm.
at the peak of Monday Nitro.
I believe the 83 weeks had already ended.
Yeah. So
Long before.
and by that point, like, you know, wrestling, because of the nature of the time, I think there was definitely a bit of a stink on wrestling, and the new powers that be just didn't care. Again, I think looking at a 2022 landscape in terms of television, if you have a product that is making your station money, bringing eyes onto your program, and is working well seamlessly between TBS, TNT, and the programming that's on there. I mean, because here's the deal. What else? Let me put it this way. What else are you putting on Wednesday night at 8:00? More reruns of The Big Bang Theory? No, I think
Right.
AEW Dynamite is doing just fine where it is. What are you putting on TNT on Friday nights at 10:00? Shawshank Redemption for the third time in a row? No, we can throw an hour of wrestling on there as well. So I think it's you go back to the year 2000 and MTV wasn't showing 23 and a half hours of ridiculousness every
No.
day. Like it's a very different situation now than it is back then.
And let's keep in mind too, WCW didn't go out of business because it was vulgar and all these things. Now, there's a point to be made that TBS and the powers that be, and this is before the AOL Time Warner merger. This is like pre that. This is just like answering to the people who are in charge at TBS and Turner. They were already neutering the show, taking away some of the more edgy aspects when they started to grow tired of that and getting all the complaints and all of that. And yeah, you could argue that the neutering of it did help lead to the downfall. Like, that's definitely an argument. So maybe there's room in there for what if AEW gets neutered? Like, what if they're not allowed to show blood anymore? What if they're not allowed to have these kind of crazy fights anymore? Could they survive that kind of tonal change? Because I've said for a while, I think that all AEW is Tony Khan booking ECW, his version, with a lot more money and actually checks that, don't bounce. So what happens if you neuter ECW? We've lived through that. We lived through WWE ECW. We know what that kind of looks like. So might we end up with a wrestling zombie at some point on AEW? Very possibly. We did end up with an NBA Indian basketball star last night who nobody wants. So
Charlie kind of finished up his point. He said that Bischoff lost his power to Turner. They want to control the product. They couldn't compete with Raw. Here's another big difference between the two. To me, is if Eric Bischoff didn't have the money that Tony Khan has, like
right.
TNT and TBS could ultimately neuter Dynamite and Rampage. Could possibly, like, yes, Tim?
Another big thing is that AOL Time Warner owned WCW.
Right.
They don't own Warner Media Discovery doesn't.
That's where I was going. Like,
right.
AOL Time Warner killed WCW because they could. TNT and TBS could ultimately kill Rampage and Dynamite. They can't kill AEW. AEW can go to Netflix. They could go to HBO Max. They could go to Paramount Plus. They could do something of their. If they really wanted to, they could create the AEW network, and just have Dynamite and Rampage and Dark Evolution and Dark Elevation and Dark Falutin and all of the dark shows on the AEW network, and do the pay-per-views on there, and you do a $10 subscription a month to be able to watch TV. And then, if you want the pay-per-views, you have to pay a premium cost for that. Like, AEW can exist without Turner and without Warner Media and Discovery and all of that. That they can't kill the company. They could kill the TV theoretically, But I also think when you're getting, and again, this is numbers wise, this is not anywhere near the Monday Night Wars, but when you're getting a million viewers a week, somebody's probably going to grab that. I mean, you know, I just don't see a situation. No, I don't think they go to Fight. I don't think they go to YouTube, Charlie. I mean, theoretically they could, but I think that they're going to look for a better landing spot, and I also think they're going to do it a lot better than the NWA is doing, and or they're going to be more successful at it because they have a built-in brand, they have a built-in audience who will seek out that product.
They also AEW has more media connections
Yes.
than the NWA.
So
Peter.
the discovery situation, although is something to keep an eye on with AEW, I don't think it's in the realm of what we saw with WCW and AOL Time Warner.